Hello everyone, welcome back to another changelog video. Similar to Edgar Markov, I'm going to be making one change with Sigarda. As opposed to Edgar Markov, I know what I want to take out, so it's not a matter of finding what to take out to put something in. It's just a matter of swapping out a card, and I'll be talking about why I'll be doing that. So this deck is Sigarda, host of Herons. My everything dies, but my stuff comes back deck. So here's the commander, Sigarda. 5 for a 5/5 hexproof flyer. My opponents can't make me sacrifice anything. And this is my Voya token. So I've got Tolsimir Wolfsblood, and I decided to get a bit fancy and make a specific Voya token for it. Right then, so part of it is representing the deck, kind of going through things again. Eternal Witness. Brew growth on a body. You have Maya, Forest Plains, Winding Canyons, Wasteland. This is a newer addition to the deck. I don't think I had this in here when I presented her originally, what, about 2 years ago? I love this Una Fricka art. I really wish she had done more. I think she's only done 2 or 3 pieces of magic art. And this is just entrancing. The way the land looks, the grooves, the scars, the tree, the mountains. It's one of those cards I can look at for a long time. It'd be nice to have the original art in a big enough size to appreciate it. White Maiden Line. Instantaneously bounce back something that I don't want to die. Hymn of Rebirth. Get something out of graveyard. Riftstone Portal. Let me just cut to what I want to cut, actually. Because if you want a breakdown of this deck, I've got another video on that. This is not in that video. So in that video I had, I believe it was Armadillo Cloak, and I was able to obtain one of these, a foil Sword of Hearth and Home. And Armadillo Cloak is nice, you know, +2/+2, lifelink, trample. But it only goes one creature, the creature dies. I can't get it back. With this deck, the idea is that I would use Cauldron of Souls, and Dauntless Escort, other creatures to sacrifice, not really wipe the board, bring all my things back, and Armadillo Cloak, I didn't have a way of bringing it back except for Eternal Witness and Sun Titan. Since it wasn't that efficient, I took it out to replace it with this Windmore Sword. Alright, so where is it? Where's the card I'm cutting? The card I'm cutting is Realms Uncharted. The reason I'm cutting it, one, it has never worked, ever. So what is it? It's a 3-mana sorcery, 2 colors and a green. Search the library for 4 land cards with different names and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put those in your graveyard and the rest in your hand, then shuffle. I thought I could play some political games and get one of my opponents to give me the lands I want and put the lands I want to have in the graveyard, but it has never worked out. And recently I was on Magic Card Market, and it was on the home page. I clicked on it. Yeah, what is this going for? Why are they showing it to me? The foil is between 30 and 126 euro. Excuse me, it's a wide range, a wide spread of price. So I decided it doesn't work anyway. Now is probably a good time to sell it, and I listed mine for 50, which is exactly what I need to get my Arabo or the Wild Secret Lair version for the next deck I want to build. So I'm taking out Realms Uncharted to sell, and I'm putting in 10 for the Discovery. So 3 colorless, 1 green. Search the library for land, put on the battlefield. Each opponent may do the same. For each opponent that does, I may search for an additional land and put that into play as well. And they don't come into play tapped. They come into play usable right away. So there we go. That's the one change I'm making. Let's look at some highlights of the deck. Dauntless Escort. I'm going to look up the foil DCI version and see if the price has gone down. Be nice to upgrade this. Let me show you the... So one of the key cards is Cauldron of Souls. I have Nova Blast Worm in the deck, and the idea is that I attack Nova Blast Worm, in response give all my creatures persist, everything dies, my creatures come back, and if I have Melira in play, they come back with no counters. If I have him in play, they come back and the +1/+1 counter negates the Negwin counter, cancels it out. So my creatures just keep coming back. The other key card in the deck is probably down here. Lurking Predators. This is a fantastic card. If you're playing some green deck and your opponents are the kind of people that like to play around on their phones rather than pay attention to the game, even if you're announcing your triggers, this card is fantastic. In one game, I had Lurking Predators and I had Aura Shards. And everybody was really concerned about the Aura Shards. They really didn't like that. And they weren't paying excuse me. They were not paying attention to what was happening with Lurking Predators. So a few turns went by of me looking at the top of my library. Let me explain it. So whenever an opponent casts a spell, reveal the top card of my library. If it's a creature card, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, I can put it on the bottom of my library. So each turn, people are playing spells. Now, okay, I'm looking top light. Look, it's a creature. I put it in play. I cast another spell. Okay, look at the top card. It's not a creature. I don't need it. Put it at the bottom. Next player's turn. Cast a spell. Look at the top. Hey, look, it's a creature. And this went on for probably 3 or 4 turns until somebody finally looked over and said, "How many creatures do you have anyway?" 10. "How the hell did you get 10 creatures?" "Well, I've got Lurking Predators, and you lot have not been paying attention." Oh shit, maybe we should start paying attention. Yes, maybe you should. Here's another key card in the deck, Megiddo the Lion. Spend 4, discard 2 cards, Wrath of God. Except for Megiddo, he doesn't kill himself. He's not suicidal, just homicidal. Are there any other really interesting cards that are worth discussing, worth presenting? There's my Nova Blast Worm. Beautiful foil. Talisman de Unity. I thought about getting the foil version of the time-shifted Knight of the Reliquary, but 1, it was expensive, and 2, some of the time-shifted foils are kind of ugly. The Solemn Simulacrum, specifically, I ordered one. I was pretty excited to go pick it up. Went to go pick it up, I looked at it, and it was dark. Printed dark. Not a very nice card to look at all, so I passed on it. And ever since then, I've been kind of wary about the time-shifted foils. And I only buy them if I can go to the shop and see them in person before choosing to actually purchase it. Safi Eric's Daughter. Helps keep my creatures out. Karmic Guide. Sensitive Dividing Top. This is really nice Lurking Predators. So of course I can manipulate the top 3. Make sure there's a creature. So when anybody casts a spell, I will get some value out of it. Beam of Sledge. This is another way of negating the effect of Cauldron of Souls. Of course, it only helps my green creatures. It doesn't do anything for my white creatures. But since the deck is so heavy green, that's really not that much of a consideration. I just go through this stack, maybe point a couple interesting cards, and I'll cut it off and call it a route. So I could play it any time. I could play an instant if I paid 2 more. So for 7, I can destroy our creatures. They cannot be regenerated. have an extra foil one. I have a foil one sitting in my art binder. Maybe, yeah. So I'll foil that out. Shillai, Voice of Plenty, another way of negating the effect of Cauldron of Souls. Excuse me. Dry air here today. Again, put +1 counters on my creatures. So you're probably getting the idea that Cauldron of Souls is pretty important to me. There's Tolsimer, creates the Voya token I showed at the beginning of the video. Here he is. So 2/2 Voya token. All my green and white creatures get bigger. There's that Cauldron of Souls. A sub-theme of the deck is getting lands back into the graveyard. Sacrificing lands to go upgrade them, get better lands, and then bring the lands I sacrificed back. So there we go. The whole reason that's in there is to find the Cauldron of Souls. As I have said a few times, it is key to my strategy for this deck. The deck will work without it, but it works much better with it. Guardian Project, I'm really surprised this is as cheap as it is. Probably because it's commander only, costs 4, but especially in this deck. So I wipe the board with Nova Blastworm. Cauldron of Souls, my creatures come back, let's say, then I draw 6 cards. That's what we call value, ladies and gentlemen. And there she is, Melira, Silva Outcast. I've seen the new Melira from Brothers War, and she just doesn't impress me. Okay, so instead of multiple poison counters, I get 1, and I can sacrifice her to do something that I don't even care about and don't even remember because it was so underwhelming. Right, so the change has been made. Realms Uncharted has been swapped out for Attempt of the Discovery. And I think that concludes today's video. Thanks for joining me. Cheers.